Major battles of the Punic Wars, from Cannae to Zama. The Punic Wars, 264 to 146 BCE, particularly the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BCE, saw some of the most significant and tactically brilliant battles in ancient history. Two of the most pivotal battles, Cannae and Zama, are often highlighted for their contrasting outcomes and the military genius of commanders like Hannibal Barca and Scipio Africanus. These battles, among others, shaped the course of the Punic Wars and determined the fate of Rome and Carthage. This analysis focuses on the major battles of the Punic Wars, especially during the Second Punic War, from the Battle of Cannae, 216 BCE, where Hannibal inflicted a devastating defeat on Rome, to the Battle of Zama, 202 BCE, where Scipio Africanus decisively defeated Hannibal, ending the war and securing Rome's future dominance. 1. The Battle of Cannae, 216 BCE. The Battle of Cannae is one of the most famous and tactically brilliant battles in military history. Fought on August 2, 216 BCE, during the Second Punic War, it remains a classic example of battlefield tactics, particularly the double envelopment maneuver used by Hannibal to annihilate a much larger Roman army. Background. Following Hannibal's stunning victories at the Battle of Trebia, 218 BCE, and the Battle of Lake Trasimene, 217 BCE, Rome assembled a massive force to finally confront Hannibal and end his devastating campaign in Italy. Rome's army, consisting of approximately 86,000 soldiers, was the largest it had ever fielded, and its commanders believed that sheer numbers would overwhelm Hannibal's smaller force of 50,000 men. Hannibal's strategy. Hannibal, outnumbered and deep in enemy territory, relied on his tactical brilliance to outmaneuver the Romans. He deliberately weakened his center, luring the Roman legions into a false sense of victory. Meanwhile, his elite Libyan infantry and cavalry, stationed on the flanks, encircled the Roman army once they were fully committed to the center of the battlefield. Double envelopment, pincer maneuver. As the Roman legions pressed forward, Hannibal's infantry gradually gave way, drawing the Romans into a trap. Once the Romans were engaged, Hannibal's cavalry, led by Maharbal, defeated the Roman cavalry and then attacked the Roman rear. Simultaneously, his infantry on the flanks closed in, encircling the Roman army completely. The outcome, the Battle of Cannae, was a catastrophic defeat for Rome. Hannibal's forces annihilated the Roman army, killing or capturing approximately 50,000 to 70,000 Roman soldiers, including many of Rome's elite commanders. The scale of the defeat was so devastating that it led to widespread panic in Rome, with many fearing that the city itself would fall. Roman losses. The Roman casualties were staggering, with up to 50,000 to 70,000 killed and an additional 10,000 captured. Among the dead were many high-ranking Roman officers and both consuls. Significance of Cannae. The Battle of Cannae is often studied as a masterpiece of tactical warfare. Hannibal's use of the double envelopment maneuver became a model for future military commanders. Despite the victory, however, Hannibal was unable to capitalize on his success due to a lack of reinforcements from Carthage, and the loyalty of most Roman allies remained with Rome. Rome's resilience. Despite the scale of the defeat, Rome did not surrender. Instead, it adopted a strategy of attrition, avoiding direct confrontation with Hannibal while rebuilding its forces and launching campaigns in other theaters of the war. 2. The Battle of Ilipa, 206 BCE. The Battle of Ilipa was a major battle during the Spanish campaign of the Second Punic War and is considered one of the finest achievements of Scipio Africanus. It was fought in 206 BCE near modern-day Seville, Spain, and effectively ended Carthage's control over Spain, depriving Hannibal of much-needed reinforcements. Background. After Hannibal's successes in Italy, Rome realized that cutting off Hannibal's supply lines and resources from Spain would be critical to weakening Carthage's ability to sustain the war. Scipio, having already captured Carthago Nova in 209 BCE, sought to eliminate Carthaginian power in Spain once and for all. Scipio's strategy. Scipio's tactical brilliance came into full display at Ilipa. Facing a larger Carthaginian force under Hasdrubal Gisco and Mago Barca, Scipio used deception and strategic positioning to achieve victory. Feigned formation. Scipio tricked the Carthaginians by deploying his troops in a traditional Roman formation for several days, with the heavy infantry in the center and cavalry on the flanks. On the day of battle, however, Scipio reversed his formation, placing his elite units on the wings and his weaker troops in the center. Sudden attack. At the height of the battle, Scipio ordered a sudden and aggressive attack from his flanks, overwhelming the Carthaginian wings while his center held firm. This swift maneuver caught the Carthaginians off guard and led to their complete defeat. The outcome. The Battle of Ilipa was a decisive victory for Rome. Carthaginian forces were routed, and Carthage lost its remaining strongholds in Spain. The victory was significant as it cut off Hannibal's access to reinforcements and resources from Spain. End of Carthaginian power in Spain. The defeat at Ilipa marked the end of Carthage's presence in Spain, a critical loss that would severely weaken Carthage's ability to continue the war. Significance of Ilipa. Ilipa demonstrated Scipio's growing skill as a commander and his ability to outmaneuver larger forces. The victory not only secured Spain for Rome, but also paved the way for Scipio's future success in North Africa. 3. The Battle of Zama, 202 BCE. The Battle of Zama, fought in 202 BCE, was the final and decisive battle of the Second Punic War. It pitted Scipio Africanus against Hannibal, and the outcome of this battle determined the fate of Carthage and Rome. Background. After securing victory in Spain, Scipio Africanus persuaded the Roman Senate to allow him to take the war to North Africa, threatening Carthage directly. His invasion forced the Carthaginian leadership to recall Hannibal from Italy to defend their homeland. Both commanders met at Zama, a plain in North Africa, for the final showdown between Rome and Carthage. Hannibal, although commanding a large army, was at a disadvantage as many of his soldiers were inexperienced, and he lacked the cavalry superiority he had enjoyed in earlier battles. Scipio's strategy. Scipio used a combination of tactics and superior cavalry to outmaneuver Hannibal at Zama. Numidian cavalry. Scipio had secured an alliance with Massinissa, the king of Numidia, whose cavalry played a decisive role in the battle. The Numidian cavalry helped Scipio neutralize Hannibal's cavalry and later turned the tide of the battle by attacking the Carthaginian rear. Tactical adjustments. Scipio adjusted his legion's formation to deal with Hannibal's war elephants, positioning his troops in columns that could open up to let the elephants pass harmlessly through, then closing ranks to attack the elephants' handlers. 3. The Battle of Zama, 202 BCE. The Battle of Zama, fought in 202 BCE, was the final and decisive battle of the Second Punic War. It pitted Scipio Africanus against Hannibal, and the outcome of this battle determined the fate of Carthage and Rome. Background. After securing victory in Spain, Scipio Africanus persuaded the Roman Senate to allow him to take the war to North Africa, threatening Carthage directly. His invasion forced the Carthaginian leadership to recall Hannibal from Italy to defend their homeland. Both commanders met at Zama, a plain in North Africa, for the final showdown between Rome and Carthage. Hannibal, although commanding a large army, was at a disadvantage as many of his soldiers were inexperienced, and he lacked the cavalry superiority he had enjoyed in earlier battles. Scipio's strategy. Scipio used a combination of tactics and superior cavalry to outmaneuver Hannibal at Zama. Numidian cavalry. Scipio had secured an alliance with Massinissa, the king of Numidia, whose cavalry played a decisive role in the battle. The Numidian cavalry helped Scipio neutralize Hannibal's cavalry and later turned the tide of the battle by attacking the Carthaginian rear. Tactical adjustments. Scipio adjusted his legion's formation to deal with Hannibal's war elephants, positioning his troops in columns that could open up to let the elephants pass harmlessly through, then closing ranks to attack the elephants' handlers. The outcome. The Battle of Zama was a decisive Roman victory. Scipio's tactics and his cavalry's superiority overwhelmed Hannibal's forces. The Carthaginian army was routed, and Hannibal himself fled the battlefield. End of the Second Punic War. The defeat at Zama forced Carthage to sue for peace. The terms were harsh. Carthage had to surrender its fleet, pay a massive indemnity, and agree to never wage war without Rome's permission. Carthage was reduced to a client state of Rome, marking the end of its status as a major power. Significance of Zama. The Battle of Zama was one of the most important battles in Roman history. It ended the Second Punic War and confirmed Rome's supremacy in the Mediterranean. Hannibal's defeat at Zama also marked the end of his military career, while Scipio was celebrated as the savior of Rome and earned the honorific title Africanus.